Hey everybody, I think everything's working okay. I'll wait a second and then start firing away, I guess. Hey everybody, I think everything's okay. I'm getting audio, so I'm just gonna finish setting up here. Hey Flavio, how you doing? So I'm gonna do the easy stuff first, and then Artemio is gonna join me for some MD Fourier testing, which I just did a quick loopback test to make sure that's working. I'm gonna have him recheck me though, because I'm not the best at that. Um, so the goal for this is just to check out Cosam's board. It's already installed in this. This is the exact one that you saw in Tito from Macho Nacho Productions video, and I know it's good, but I want to test how good. That's funny. Well, I was warned that these 3D printed parts weren't all the way in. Tito actually said that he wasn't sure how I wanted these things mounted. So, did I want it permanent? Did I want to leave room just in case there was another upgrade or something? So that's why that just fell out, by the way. It's wasn't his fault. It was him just wanting to make sure I got exactly what my friend needed. All right, sorry about that. So I guess let's just jump in and test Composite, RGB, HD Retrovision, even though it should be identical, just to see how it looks, and we'll kind of go from there. Y2K, hello. And as always, let me know if there's a audio issue, if the audio blanks out like it sometimes does in my streams, and we'll go from there. First basic test. There's gonna be a lot of shaky cam in this. It's like you're gonna be watching a Jason Bourne video. So we're gonna move this over here. Let me get the input set. Okay. So that right now we're looking at composite video, which is, exactly as composite video-y as you would expect. I'll turn the brightness back up once we're not just looking at the screen. Okay, so composite through a scaler in 4K on a flat panel is always going to look terrible. It's not something that you're ever going to see not look terrible, but this is pretty cool for what it is. Composite works, composite's good. See the banding on the bottom there. But all the colors are coming out. The levels look fine. I can actually throw this on a scope too, just to double check what all these are. But I think, please correct me if I'm wrong in the chat here. But when it comes to composite video, just making sure it works and it's not awful is all that really matters. Anybody disagree on that one? Tony, what's going on? Game Metal, hey, Zaxour, what's up? Yeah, well, that's actually what I'm going to move on to next. Is I have Zaxour's Genesis 3 here, which is modded with, I believe, the 4BP because it's supposed to retain composite video. So I'm going to switch over to that real quick just to see how it compares. Both because I've never seen Zaxour's mod in person, but well, this version of it, I mean, and I also want to see how it compares. Because that was my one, I guess the one regret, well, the two regrets I have of the original 3VP is I didn't make any money off of it. Lost quite a lot of money trying to help fund that. But also that oh, yeah, you need the cartridge for it to work. Dum-dum. But the missing composite video, if you have an all RGB setup, it's not really a big deal, but I just know so many people that have setups like RGB setup going to a beautiful scaler, like the Tink 4K and an OLED screen like this one, but they also have a CRT for composite. So then they would need two Genesis consoles. But yeah, so this looks good, and it looks good for composite, and it looks the same as the Neptune, which, I could go through and take all of these crazy screenshots and everything, but I don't really think it's necessary for composite video. We just need it to work. We need it to not stink. Yeah, it actually looks pretty clean for composite. And it's very cool to see Genesis 3 with that bypass have it out there. So, all right, let's I'll switch it back here. I'll do composite one more time just to see if my eyes see any differences, but I don't think we need to deep dive composite. And then I'll switch over and double check some of the other basic video signals. And at the end, after the audio, we can go back and do some real deep dive testing if we want to. Okay, you could see this flickering in the bottom between Sega Genesis and Mega Drive. So that's the issue that's being investigated right now. And let me just go back into scroll test. Yeah, it looks very, very similar to the one from Zaxour's. Let me just go back and do a all white screen. Yeah, nothing crazy at all about this, which is exactly what I expected. So I'll swap over now. I'll check the chat and I'll grab some RGB cables. So Zaxour said that this is a 3BP. It's just the Zaxour's version has composite video restored. And that Zaxour debated doing a 4BP, but wanted to keep it apples to apples with the Neptune video. So what exactly is the difference, so I could explain to everybody in your words? And I'll leave the composite cable out in case anybody wants it, but or in case anybody wants it. Geez, in case anybody wants me to retest anything, I think I'm going straight to RGB. Right. And for the profile, I'm going to fire up one of the Genesis Mega Drive, Firebrand X, Sharp 10X. Wow, oh boy, is it. You'll probably be able to see now that we're not at composite video anymore, the twitching a little bit better, how it jumps between Genesis and Mega Drive like that. I think that's causing boot issues in certain things. I think I ran into it once when I was launching a 32X game. It said not for this region, and I just power cycled and it worked. So wasn't really, I probably should have paid a little more attention to that. So you could see all of the color bars. I don't know what's up, if phase is off on this. The phase stuff is what I want to get into at the end, because it's very likely that you could get caught in a loop of figuring out phase that has nothing to do with the console, the equipment, or anything else. It's maddening, to be honest. I just finished another video that should be out in a few weeks where I ended up spending like, I think a day on just trying to figure out, making sure I got phase perfect for each. That's probably going to look crazy on screen, but on stream, but it looks perfect here. So, right. Color bars. So I'm going to flip this over to the scope now and check levels. So Zaxour said that the 4BP's RGB and audio circuits are essentially the same, but it has a dedicated linear regulator and FFC output for interfacing with other 10-pin DINs or 9-pin DINs. It also has the proper balancing for GOAC audio. The original triple bypass isn't quite right for GOAX, which is the Mega Drive 2 VA4 and the Genesis 3. Y2K, I completely agree. I'm very glad that the Neptune retains composite support. And yeah, there are many, many, many times where that's just been a help for my testing, not only just for for using it on CRTs without other inputs. So yeah, completely agree. Hey, Andre. All right, so let's throw this on the scope. And we'll throw Zaxours on the scope too afterwards as well, just for the heck of it, because why not? I will move the camera over once again. Shaky cam time. Here. So I will just fire this up and I will point out anything noteworthy. I'm not, if there's nothing that really needs an analysis, I don't think we need to save these. I think just saving the numbers might be good enough, but let's see. Centering in the trigger point. No, actually, that's good enough that I want to share this. All right, let's. Sure you're all enjoying a great shot of my back at the moment. Sorry about that. So we got everything dialed in pretty good. So I'm just gonna take a screenshot and move right over. Oh, it's also 4 layers instead of 2 layers. Awesome. Well, it even makes the 4BP make even more sense. You know, the triple bypass name, the explanation of it came after. Triple bypass was just Renee making a joke about me being fat and probably eventually needing a triple bypass. But the the whole thing of bypassing the audio, video, and DIN came afterwards and just kind of made sense at the time. Hey Ronnie, yeah, I delayed the stream for a couple of reasons, but one of this was because I didn't want to interfere with their stream. I want to promote my friends. I don't want to like make people choose, but I also only have a very limited amount of hours I could do this stuff, so it is what it is. Right. Sorry, the Ultra Sigma app always crashes nowadays, but it seemed to work. Oh yeah. So when Zaxour was explaining, I forgot to mention as well that it also includes S video capabilities if you switch the DIN over to a Sega Saturn style DIN. All right, I will put this scope shot up. All right, so as you can see, that's 568 millivolts on sync. It's a little on the high side, but that means nothing. It's not going to damage SCART equipment. There's not a problem. It is just, it is what it is. It's totally fine. So the proper range is between 240 and 960 millivolts. Basically, it's got to be high enough to be noticeable, but lower than a volt. So sync is totally fine. And let's check out the RGB levels. Yeah, Mr. Silent Vid, it's the Mr. Case that I did that video on a while back. It's Ivory from Retro Castle has always made my favorite cases. There's not as many left in his store now, and I'm having a hard time getting a hold of him. I think work's kind of busy. His other job is kind of busy for him at the moment. So, how far? All right, I'm going to measure out red, green, and blue now. Excuse my back. So you'll probably see a little bit of ringing in the scope signal, but what that actually is would be I think that would be the cable, but Zaxour might want to correct me on this one. Oh, Andre, that was the compliments of Steve. Well, thank you, Steve. What's up, Zez? Thank you guys for popping over. Right, gonna drop the red one on. So that's showing about 684 millivolts, which is excellent. That is not even close to dim enough for anybody to notice a difference with their eyes, and it is under the level where you would see some clipping. So that's great from the Nomad. Neptune. I get them both confused. I'm sorry. NDPX, most likely not. If it even worked at all, you'd probably need something with TTL level voltage. At the very least, you'd probably look into having it set to like using a converter to convert RGBS to RGB HV. But really, you're most likely looking at needing needing some kind of scaler, which is totally normal in that scenario. And in fact, that's something that I really wanted to dig into when I first started RetroRGB, is exactly what or how many of those VGA inputs are compatible. Like on flat panels and plasmas, especially older ones, are compatible with RGB, and the answer is almost none. I'm getting some steps in this. Let me I think for this test, it might be better if I switch to an all-white screen, just because I'm seeing some variations, and I want to make sure that it's not in the cable. I actually usually use the HD RetroVision test patterns, just because that's what Steve has burned into my brain. Let me just flip on a white screen instead. It's the biggest advantage of using the HD RetroVision patterns and all, or any 100% color bar, is just essentially that you end up getting you could tell what you're looking at just by looking at it, because you can see how the signal lines up. Whereas when you have, when you use an all-white screen, it very often, or they all look the same. They're all going to just look like a square. Let me center this. But I'm going to do it for this just in case. And I'm redoing red as well, just so that we could have apples to apples here. Because at this point, it's not about, I'm guessing that they're probably all going to be fine, but is there a difference between the levels? And that's always something that's important to check. So let me over. All right. So let me do red again, and then we'll just do green and blue real quick. I hit the wrong button. What a shock. All right. So that's showing 704. So that's also same exact thing that I said before. That's basically perfect. That's basically exactly what you would want from analog video output. So that's great. So let's just see how the other colors differ. That's looking great, but I'm going to show you here anyway. In hindsight, I probably should have done this for Tito's video, but this video was great, so whatever. So 700 volts, I mean, this is within a millivolt the same, so you can't really ask for anything more. I'm going to do blue just because I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't test everything. I'm going to be looking at this with you all for the first time, so second. All right, and we got basically exactly the same thing. So there you go. All three colors are fine, which means you're not going to have any color mismatches as a result, which is super important. So the RGB voltage thing is pretty easy. I'm going to switch over to MD Fourier testing pretty quickly because Artemio is actually going to be joining us, which is awesome because I can't do this stuff without him. Hey, what's up, Kyle? You know, I have the EverDrive. I could try to play play Doom on it. That would be pretty funny. But let's switch over here. I'll leave the scope on. We'll go back and test Zaxours later, and I'll get screenshots of everything just so you can see the sharpness. But now, let's work on this. And this here. I will turn the brightness back down so you can see the screen a little easier. Let me know if you need it brighter, not as bright, whatever. So I'm switching over to the HD RetroVision file profile because it is a slight difference, but it still looks awesome. It looks exactly the same in a good way. And it also proves that this thing is compatible with HD RetroVision cables, which there's zero reason it wouldn't be. But I mean, why wouldn't we test that, right? Hey, DJ Callie, what's up? Assuming that's you, Ludo. If not, somebody stole your name. Paul, the pre-made boards are out of stock, and by pre-made, populated with all of the capacitors and resistors, but still requiring Sega stuff. They're out of stock, but they should be back in a couple of months. You could make your own, but then you would make your own PCBs, but then you would have to populate all of the other components, which is way more of a pain than you could imagine. Zaxour, I just I'm not sure if you're still here or not, but I saw your question. Does the breakout box have a low pass filter? I don't know what you mean. I'm using standard HD RetroVision and RGB SCART cables, but I could check up on whatever you would like me to. Adam, that's a good question. Removing the proprietary chips from the 32X of the hot air station could potentially damage the chip. I'm not really sure. That's a good question, though. What else we got? All right, I'll keep testing a little bit. Artemio is going to jump on in a bit. All right, so we've confirmed the video outputs are all perfect on this one. It definitely outputs stereo audio. We'll do the audio analysis in a bit. So let's try, I guess if we're here and we're doing this, we could just try the video levels on Zaxour's triple bypass so that when we're doing the comparison shots later, we have, we know what the levels are and what we're going to be expecting. It's always challenging to wiggle these cables in to these older consoles. You know, for a long time, I thought the Genesis 3 didn't actually support RGB because it was so hard to get the cable all the way through. 3 a.m. Oh boy, go to sleep, my friend. It's late. Oh yeah, I gotta flip it back over here. Uh-oh, my RGB SCAR cable I was using is getting a little finicky. All right, I'm just gonna do a white screen real quick. And I'm gonna make sure I have a solid connection on this one as well. All right, so on Zaxour's triple bypass, it's 420 millivolts for sync, which is excellent. And I'm just going to measure the colors real quick. I couldn't imagine Zaxour releasing something that wasn't exactly how you would expect it to be. This one's 716 millivolts, so that's right on the line, but still good. And all of them are the same voltage. Let me try to zoom in on that a little bit for you. That's basically what we already just saw with the Neptune, just a little bit hotter, but not in a bad way. Also remember that all Genesis 3s are going to be slightly different with each other, so are different from each other. So that's good. We're all set there. And all right, so I think what I'm going to do now is get this ready to do the MD Fourier testing, and we're going to start with Zaxour's. I'll turn off the scope because I don't think we're going to need that anymore. Move the Neptune out of the way. I also definitely want it plugged into video as well, because I think one of the things that I always try to do with MD Fourier testing on consoles is to make sure that everything is still configured the exact way that it would be during normal use. That way you don't run into a scenario in which you have less video issues or less audio issues because video isn't connected. All right, hold on, everybody. Hey, Artemio, can you hear me? I cannot hear you at all. Uh-oh. Let me get your video on here. And hopefully we can get audio worked out. Artemio is kind enough to join us while between breaks at work here, so that's why we didn't set up beforehand. I am trying to Okay, unfortunately, Artemio, I can't hear you at all. I double and triple checked my settings, so I'm not really sure what's going on. Luis, yes, you can. I don't have a Sega CD to do so, unfortunately, though. Hey, T-Belly. Yeah, I could try Doom. I think I might need the ROMs, though, but yeah. Oh, you're in for a minute there. I heard something and then it disappeared. Yes, I got you. Can you hear me now? All right. Oh no, you went. Yeah. Do you have a noise gate on there? That might be what's cutting you out. Hey, Beast, what's up? Maybe we get a reboot here. Artemio said he's just going to change stuff up and try again. All right. So I'm going to continue to get this prepared. Now, a while back, a friend of mine gave me a beat up old MacBook Pro, which is still pretty decent for this. And it was how I'd been doing some testing on a couple of other cables that I've been testing recently. And I did a loopback test at 96K, which I'll verify with Artemio in a minute. And then we could try to connect directly and get some results for. I'll start with the triple bypass because when I was doing the triple bypass testing, once Tianfeng got involved and Cruz with the testing and the design of this stuff, that's about the time that MD Fourier came out, and we were working on it to make sure that it was as good as possible. And there's always room for improvement, especially when you have precision tools like MD Fourier. But at the time, it was the best I'd tested from an audio and video point of view. So hopefully that will that'd be everything that we needed as a baseline testing. I'm gonna go grab my ROM cart real quick, and maybe we could see if Doom works. I don't know. Whoa, Troy, thank you so much. That is so nice of you. What an awesome super chat. Troy said KEF reference series Model 1 for shielded speakers. That is all. So what Troy is referring to is the reference series Model 1 from the brand KEF are fully shielded, and you're able to use them next to CRTs, which is very important. Hey, Artemio, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, great! I could see you now. You're oddly clear somehow, but oh wait, no, there you are. There you are. I got it. I got it.
It's working now?
Perfect. Yeah.
Good.
All right. So let me just fix my video here so that you look okay on stream.
Yeah, I have a terrible backdrop, but I'll try to fix it.
No. You're great here. This is I was just my cropping was the problem, but no, this is
Okay.
perfect.
Good. Let me try to get less contrast here.
Ah, great. There you go. Okay, thank you very much for joining us. I'm not confident in doing this stuff without you, so thank you for coming and doing this with us. So,
No, it's a pleasure, my friend.
so the goal for today, and I'm going to try to speed through it in interest of your time because I know you have to get back to work soon. But the goal for today is to take the Zaxour's Genesis 3 and get some, probably two MD Fourier recordings, just because two is better than one, and then compare them to Cosam's Neptune and see how they differ, and also see if we could find any room for improvement in either, because I know Zaxour is always tweaking his stuff, and I think Cosam would be
Oh yeah,
interested.
it is.
And I think I have to start. I'm going to start with a loopback test. I did one before I started the stream to make sure that the stream didn't turn into let's fix Bob's broken equipment. But the only thing I wanted to ask is I did it in 96K. Is there a preference on what I should be recording in when I'm using stuff like this, like retro consoles?
Well, in reality, if we go higher, like 96 kilohertz, we uh, we are gonna grab more stuff that we'll probably don't use. That's not a problem because it gets ignored. We get more information, which is always good. What does get better is if we go 24 bits, for example, we get lower noise floor.
Okay. Well, that's definitely important. So, all right, let me make sure I'm back here. Okay, so if this handles 192 24-bit, should that be what I'm using then?
Yeah, that's amazing. Yes,
All right.
it's obviously way too much, but that's not a problem. That's a good thing. Okay.
All right, so I'm going to come over here real quick and just change the settings on the Mac and in Reaper. Um, Actually, I don't even think I need to. Yeah, let me just do this. So I think in Reaper, you just go right to Preferences, and you first open the audio MIDI setup, and the Motu M4 can do 192K, 4-channel, 32-bit float. Which I actually didn't know it could do that. I thought it capped out at 24. But so is that a good setting for this?
Yeah, yeah, it's good.
Okay, so that's as high as that one's going to go, and now I could in here change the settings to a 192.
And I mean, 96 is completely fine. We're just going overboard. Not a bad thing.
Yeah, I like going overboard. All right, and then I'm just going to drop the 192K MD Fourier file in here, and I should do a whole other video on how I do this at some point. I slapped one together really quick a while back. I forgot I even did it. But this is really helpful for Mac users because there's actually, once you just follow the instructions, it's a very simple process.
Indeed.
Oh, I did not do that correctly. Let me bring that back. Right, I'm just gonna hit record. Nope, it's in the wrong spot. Darn it. Gotta have the cursor set all the way back. Here we go. That is kind of one of the things on Mac is you just gotta get used to the different button combinations, which is, even though I used a Mac for a while there, just trying to learn and get better with this stuff, it still is confusing sometimes. All right.
Yeah.
Nope, I still messed that up somehow.
If you have 96 already and you can go with that, we're good. Huh? No problem.
No, because I just want to set. I want to make sure that we test it and then immediately jump into testing everything else without
No,
changing the.
I'm not rushing
Yeah,
you at all. Huh?
this is
Don't believe
perfect.
that's gonna do. Yeah.
Yeah, because what I've found is it's like I will do a loopback test every single time I do MD Fourier testing because of so many times of like I'll hit a button, I'll forget to change a setting, my cable is wrong. So yeah, I want to keep it. We'll verify this and not touch the computer.
It's your unit testing for audio, right?
Yeah. Let me turn your volume up as well. People were complaining that you were a little bit low on there.
Yeah, I'm kind of a noisy environment, so maybe that's lowering my gain here.
No, I had you turn down load so that when you joined, it wouldn't just come in and
Oh
blare
yeah, of
out just in
course.
case. So, all right.
Oh, thanks, Ronnie. It's no problem. Making the 240p test suite has been a great experience for me as well. So you guys using it, it gives it purpose and meaning. Thank you, guys. Retro Tech, hey guy, how are you?
All right.
Good. It is
That.
great now. Zaxour is also here. Oh, yeah.
All right. Let me grab my USB key. I'll bring it over to the Windows computer just because I'm much faster on a Windows computer and I could much easier show you the results of all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Just gonna drag that right in. All right.
Oh, nice. Zaxour is using the 240p test suite to fix PCM on a pack. He's been making God's work on those laser disc things, right? Laser active things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Zaxour might be responsible for like 50% of those things working again. Like
Yeah,
half of
yeah,
them are
I'm
all
sure.
dead.
He's always fixing laser actives and packs. Always. I didn't know there were so many, man.
All right, right now I am just running I'm just running MD Fourier, so I will be showing you the results very, very shortly.
Sure.
192K loopback. Okay, there's no errors.
Good.
Oh, I think this is Artemio approved. Hold on 1 second, and I will grab this for everybody here. Actually, I'm gonna take my own advice and do some file management to make sure that I don't mess these up. So let me. And if you need any of the wave files, Artemio, let me know. I think you'd probably be more interested in the results, though.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So as you could see, this is excellent.
Yeah, it is.
And you know what?
And you can
I'll
see
be dropping these to you in the chat as well. I think that's probably a
you can see the bars for these kind of comparisons. Those bars, you have everything within one dB difference, and we know it's less than that, right?
yeah. Me somehow or another this file is huge. So let me just there we go. Okay. I'll make it full screen so people can see it. But yeah, that's great. So what this is simply confirming is that our test environment is solid. That's basically, if you understand
We're
MD
not lying.
Fourier, you know the details, and if not, that's all that means is our test environment's good. All right.
We have a linear capture audio interface, so that means the audio interface is not modifying the audio signals.
Okay. Bring this back to the start. Delete that file, and now I will move on to testing the audio directly from it. So I'm going to pull my loopback cables out. I actually have an MD Fourier testing box that I keep all of my MD Fourier approved cables. They're never to be used on anything else, so I don't break the cable or anything like that. So, these have been thoroughly tested as well. These are just simply RCA to 1/4 inch connectors, and we've been testing these since Artemio first came out with MD Fourier, and I think these exact ones are the ones I've had the whole time. So
Yeah, good thing they're durable, most of them.
yeah. And once again, like I was saying right before you joined, I definitely want to keep the video connected so that it's a real world test. We're not isolating
Yeah.
video from audio.
When you do that video test, when you do MD Fourier with the video connected or the monitor turned on, because you can just turn it off and it'll go away. you'll get the bleeding of the video noise inside into the audio spectrum. There'll be some interference, and we can monitor that and see how well each behaves in a real scenario.
Mark said they love using MD Fourier. They just compared a new VA1 PAL Mega Drive to a newly purchased VA 1.8. It's a little different. And they could confirm they didn't damage it looking around inside. Love it.
That's kind of the idea, right? Like it's for us types that get anxious about this kind of thing. We can check if everything's still, if the world still makes sense.
Yeah. After that LG C4 video that I did, I used those test files, and I've been testing proper cadence on my current equipment using that. Let me see. I think it worked. There seemed to be a delay on screen. Let me just do this again to make sure, because I don't want to go through and ruin everything right away here. So let me just do that test one more time.
They are asking me if there's any licensed test 240p tests with cards. Once when I get a little kickback. Well, thank you for caring. It's not needed. If you want to give me some kickback, there's a Patreon, and then there's the IO. And but that's really appreciated. But in reality, when somebody approaches me to build cards, I mean, when they do, because obviously there's Chinese manufacturers that don't care, and it's fine because it's an open source and free product. But they should give you the source code. That's the only thing that would breach the license. I usually ask them not to raise the cost by giving me some income. So I rather have it at a lower price point for the people, and then get a cut. Sometimes though, they do give me sample cards so I can resell, and I make out some money from that. I'm just being completely clear on that. Okay.
Well, the Patreon is linked right in the description for anybody who wants it.
Thanks
It's the
very
first link. I also have the Zaxour stuff too, so you'll be able to, everything that we talk about, you'll be able to have here.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks.
So I'm getting I don't know if it's just because I don't know. Let me see if I could. Yeah. I don't know if it's just because the volume's a little low, but after about 20 seconds it doesn't look like there's. Oh, okay. Now you could, maybe there was just the, you know what? I'm just going to test the file. We'll see what we got.
It seems to be very low, right?
Yeah, but it worked at the it worked at first. So
It works.
And what should I compare this one to? Or should I just send you the file? What's the easiest way to do this?
Let's get started. The first thing to decide is what we're doing. This recording, what's it meant for?
This is going to be the baseline recording that we're going to be testing the Nomad, the Neptune. I'm sorry, I keep saying that. The Neptune against.
So this recording is from
the Zaxour's Genesis 3.
Okay, so we are not going to yet compare it against anything unless we want to compare it against my own Genesis from the recording files, right? So this baseline is going to be how well it compares against this. We can just start with this and then get the Neptune, compare these two, and then if there's a difference, then we go and compare to our reference files.
Okay, then what I would like to do, just based on my history of constantly making mistakes, is just take one more recording, nothing else.
Okay, and compare it against itself. So you know that both recordings are Genesis recordings and they pass MD Fourier, right?
Exactly. All right.
So what Bob's doing is he's making a secondary recording from the same console, and they should be as close to any other recording. Like if you grab a leaf from a tree and you grab a different leaf, they should be basically the same thing, but with some differences, right? Because analog is not perfect, so we're gonna get some differences that are due to analog variation. They're very small, but MD Fourier does detect them. So what you're going to see is how close the same console is against itself.
Exactly. All right. So all right, this is perfect. We got about 20 seconds left. I have everything queued up, so MD Fourier will fire right in. Command left will take me to 0 seconds in Reaper. Thank you. I appreciate that tip. I not only am I a dirty Windows user, but the last time I used Reaper to record audio was years ago. It was that that thing that I had done, the Terminator theme song that I did with Ronnie, and so that's how long it's been since I've recorded music. So I basically forgot how to use Reaper, other than to do MD Fourier. Right. Executing now, and I should have results for you all shortly. I didn't get any errors, which is always good.
Mhm.
You know, in hindsight too, I'm very glad that we did this because I want people to see these results before we do the comparisons, because it's really good for people to visualize how the same console run twice in a row in the same setup, the same heat, the same everything else could still be slightly off from itself.
Yeah, it's because well, MD Fourier was built specifically for this, so we kind of calibrated it when we were starting this project with Bob and the rest of the crew to be as sensitive as we needed, right? Because there's way more information and it could be way more sensitive, but we just zoomed in into a way. This is the difference from the same console against itself, and you can see that it's basically the same. Down there in the bars, we have quantified or numberized values, right? So you can see that there's a slight percent that's lost not within 1% difference. But we're saying this is our baseline. This is what a same console against itself varies. Okay.
Awesome. All right, so this is good. It proves that the test equipment is still fine. It proves that the baseline recording at least is good enough because we're not getting any weird errors or anything like that. So great. Now we could switch over and I will turn everything over to the Neptune. And I'm using the 240p test suite cart that Artemio gave me a while back, not the ROM cart, just in case the ROM cart adds any kind of strain or noise or anything like that, which it usually doesn't.
You can use MD Fourier to verify that. You record with your card, you record with the ROM card, and you compare them, and you'll get that, yeah, there might be some difference, but not here. We did notice difference when you're using CD-ROM based ODE systems, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not here.
No, I don't think in
But
this scenario
anyway,
it would matter. But, you know, better
you're
safe than
being
sorry.
extra cautious. Yeah.
All right. Delete command 0? No, that didn't do it. Command left, command. Okay, command left. That did work. So awesome. Record. Great. So we'll do that one, and then same thing. I'm gonna do 2 just in case.
Yeah, yeah, Zaxour, that's right. You can hold start while the Field 40p test suite is booting, and it takes you straight to MD Fourier. This was made so we could record baseline recordings without a screen, in order to get the lowest noise floor possible.
Oh, really? I didn't
So
realize
also,
that.
yeah, and it's also useful in case the console video is damaged and you want to just check the audio. You can just put that way and press A, and the test will start.
Well, after we're done getting the recordings, I want to show that on camera just because that's neat. Okay.
Yeah, there are a bunch of, since the 240p test suite serves many masters. I mean, it serves MD Fourier, It saves PBM lovers and CRT lovers. It serves emulator authors, and it serves upscaler gang. So we have a very different kind of customers, if you want to call them that, users, and it has many features like that.
Maybe a sound test?
Yeah, we did something, Zaxour. I don't recall what, but yeah, we did something to test the Sega CD audio, I believe, from the sound test. I can't recall. We would need to check our notes because that was like 5 years ago, Zaxour. Yeah, I do remember that you asked me for something. You never do, and please feel free to ask for any features that will make your life easier. Same goes for you, Bob, as you already
As
know.
I already
That's
do.
great.
I have annoyed poor Artemio nonstop for like a decade straight now.
Yeah, we've known each other for more than a decade by now, right?
Yeah, you were one of the first interviews I did back in the day.
Yeah, I recall that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, man. This is all of this stuff is just making everybody's life so much easier. All the tools that you make, and then teaching people how to use them. I mean, it's easy to take this stuff for granted now because they exist, but just for years, I mean, we were kind of guessing until a lot of this stuff came along, and just awesome to see how far we've come.
I'm really glad because it's a community effort. Without your input, Saxers, everybody, right? This thing wouldn't be half what it is. Because I'm no expert on any of these grounds, right? Like MD Fourier, thanks to David and Plog, that they give professional input because they make synthesizers as well. You were making the triple bypass, and that input was invaluable to make this useful. Because the first time I recall that I showed you and I gave you, hey, look at this. These are the numbers of the difference. And you said, people ain't going to be using this. We need to figure out something so that it's visual, right?
Yeah.
And I banged my head, and a month later, we came up with this way of comparing, right? Visual.
All right, I am going to hit execute and then I will drop these back in.
Oh yeah, Saxor asked me for holding left on boot to jump straight to sound test. There you go.
Artemio, would you like me to send you the whole file as a zip file, or do you just want specific ones?
Oh, you mean the results
The
or
results,
the
yeah.
or
Sorry,
the
the results, yeah.
yeah the zip file? Yes, please. And I can just check it out here as well with you.
Go, and I'll drop that in the chat as well so we could all see it.
Thank you. Yeah, you guys can download it and we can check it with you. Okay, here's the. Okay. And
So the green line looks great. It looks exactly like what we would have wanted. But what's the line underneath it then? Maybe you could explain that, and we can see
I'm
what the difference is.
checking it out. Just open it. I'm not a laptop person, so I'm slower, but here we
Yeah,
go.
me too. When I'm not used to the touchpad anymore, so I'm way slower on
Yeah,
it.
yeah, but I'm getting there. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. So there's a slight difference in the levels, but very, very slight. You can tell that it's less than 1 decibel
Hmm.
between the green and the aqua line, right? Green and yellow and aqua.
Hmm.
And green and yellow are FM and PSG, and the aqua line is the noise. Interesting. Maybe, no, it's green as well. You can see that the green line is on top and the aqua and yellow lines are below. That means that the balance between the Sega Master System audio, the PSG, and the FM is slightly different in this other configuration. This is not something unusual. Many consoles, many different variations of the Sega Genesis have different balance levels between the PSG and the FM. They are fairly close, right? But in this scenario, we get less than 1 dB difference between them. Okay.
Yeah, so I think that I think I just messed that up.
And that's uh, that's not a problem with the console itself. That might be the difference between the chips themselves that you are using. Well, that the console is using, right? And
Yeah.
the audio mixing circuit, because there's different audio mixing circuits. These are different synthesizers between the master system and the Genesis, and they have different balances in different configurations. So this might be that they are not targeting the exact same model of Genesis that you are using, right?
Yeah, correct. One. I am going to run the file or the same test on the same root file from Zaxour to the second Neptune recording that we did, just for the heck of it.
Yeah,
Just
we're
I
gonna
don't.
get the same.
I
So you
imagine we're
guys
gonna
know.
get exactly the same, but
Uh-huh.
that old saying, 2 is 1, 1 is none. So
Exactly. Zaxxer mentioned exactly the same thing. We're getting it has a slightly different balance level, and that again might be completely natural, because what we are seeing is a different game consoles. I mean, one could be a Genesis One, the other could be a Genesis Two,
yeah, but
right?
for
They are
anybody
not.
listening, also has to remember that a 1 dB difference might not be audible to your ears, depending on the
Oh
sound
no, no.
pitch channels and stuff like that. In fact, it most likely isn't. So,
Let's say what a decibel is in these terms. We're speaking at 60 decibels right now.
mhm.
Okay, usually it is colloquially said that 3 dBs is the slightest sound difference between one sound and the other that an average human being can detect. So saying that it's 1 dB, it's 1/3 of the usual change that a typical person in the street can detect. We're not talking about Ace here, we're talking about your average, right?
Right. So that is awesome. So essentially, what this means is that anybody who makes themselves one of these Neptune builds, with Cosam's motherboard, is getting just about as good as you could get from Genesis audio, Genesis Model 2 audio. Obviously, you're not going to
That's
suddenly
right.
have the original YM chip back in there, but that's still absolutely excellent. And should we run? I don't have a 32X here, but I could run the 32X version of the test suite if there's anything you'd like to see in that.
Oh, well, if you don't have a 32X, we have nothing to compare to.
Yeah.
We'd need another 32X to compare the different balance levels between them.
I should have thought of that. I could have borrowed my
Well,
old one back and used it in this, but let me
well,
fire it
we
up
can do
anyway.
that and publish that as a separate post later on.
Yeah, I'll take that recording just to see, and now I'm going to switch over to
Yeah.
the
Now that you
32X.
have it, right?
Yeah, 32X.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Taxer. He goes into the. I went with the mainstream definition, but in terms, dB is a ratio. It's expressed as a logarithm, typically for voltages. Yeah. So 6 dB would be a factor of 2 difference. Yes.
Was the 240p test suite for the 32X updated with MD Fourier?
I believe that it was released with MD Fourier.
Then mine is outdated
I'm not
on this
really sure.
cart. Let me go download
Oh,
that real quick, and I'll put a link in the chat to anybody who wants to download
yeah.
that as well.
Yeah, I do believe we did it. Yeah. Let me see, but I do believe we have it. I might be wrong. And then there's a to-do list there if that's the case. Uh
I do have a Mega EverDrive Pro Zaxour. Yeah,
oh yeah. Oh, the thing is, 32X does not have a specific version of it.
no MD
Not
Fourier on
yet.
it. Okay,
Yeah, we need to have that. Yeah.
not a big deal. So all right, so that is actually still awesome though. That means we could do that in the future. Oh, I should take this take this image down. Here we go. All right, so that's still okay then. We can still go back and do that at some point, but
Yeah.
uh, now the 32x audio channels. Was there a lot of games? I'm totally forgetting that added audio via 32x, or was it
Oh
mostly
yeah,
just?
yeah, because it's PWM. It's a different kind of audio completely. So
Mhm.
they sometimes they did mix because they also could use audio, digitized audio. A lot of digitized audio was made from the 32x. So yeah, it's something worth checking out later, right?
Right. Okay. My case is getting a little funky here. I think the buttons are sticking. I'm gonna take this light pipe out just for the remainder of the stream, and hopefully I could just fix that later. Okay, cool. All right, so from an audio point of view, is there any other analysis that you would like to do on this, or should I
Well,
just?
we can see the noise floor results from both.
Oh, okay, I could pull that back up too. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, we already have them.
So that's the one that says it's the first NF with the squiggly line. Should I start with that one?
That's right.
All right.
That's the noise floor difference. We can see the other two that have the specific noise floors from each, but that one has both compared, right? Like as a difference.
Okay. So, what does this mean then for the line to be above center like this?
It means that the comparison in our scenario in the Neptune has a more noise than the original, right?
Okay.
You can actually see that in the individual ones, right? The
Hmm.
other two, the ones that are just next in the file system.
Hmm. Interesting. So, Zaxour said the noise floor should be slightly elevated compared to the Genesis 3 due to the switch mode converter.
Okay, maybe he means with against his own mod, right?
I think so, yeah, because that's what was built
So
into the Neptune.
well, what we can tell here is that well, here is the Zaxour's mod, right? You can see that we have some noise to the left. All those white lines are noise. Then we have a very pronounced peak at 15 kilohertz. That's the monitor. That's the PBM. That's the video signal.
Okay.
Okay, all of those added, and also you have peaks to the left, and they are multiples of 60. They are harmonics from the power supply. You can see
Ah,
that
okay.
in the graphs, you have some dotted green lines that start at exactly 60 and then move on to the right progressively. Those are the harmonics. Those are predicted. And below you have the white lines. Those are the real measured ones. So you get exactly or almost exactly matches on where we expect noise. Our two sources are the power supply and or main C power, main AC power, and the video signal. The video signal is to the right. It's at 15 kilohertz. If you go to the next image, you can see the Neptune. That's the Neptune. It has a very more distributed noise floor, right? It's not as accentuated as Zaxour's, but Zaxour's was lower in general. This is higher, but more general. It doesn't have as much peaks. You can see that there's also the harmonic noise from the power supply. It has different characteristics. And also the 15 kilohertz noise is way lower here.
Interesting.
You can go back and forth. And also you can see the first one that we saw is the difference between them. So the line tells you both subtracted. Here you can see that the Neptune has a higher, because it's above the line, it has a higher noise, but it goes and peaks down at 15 kilohertz. It has less 15 kilohertz noise, but more general noise. And you can see also that in terms of 60 kilohertz, 60 hertz power supply noise, you don't have as much in either. Well, there's not much difference in either.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah,
That's really awesome.
we can tell a lot from that.
Um,
And this was a suggested graph, right? Tianfeng, I believe, and we it's what they made it. So they asked for this, and I believed it couldn't be done, and it was possible. I didn't trust our results as much as they did.
I just sent those over to Zaxour just in case there's anything you wanted to see on them. And yeah, okay. So is there anything else that you want, any other graphs you want me to put up, or is there any other tests that we could run on the audio side, or is this basically just mean that this is an excellent performing from an audio perspective console, and while it just differs a little bit from the modded Genesis 3? Is that a pretty good assessment?
It is a pretty good assessment. I checked the rest of the graphs. We don't have missing, we don't have extra. It's not producing frequencies that were not in the original. It's not eliminating frequencies from the original. So it's a very, very close match.
You know, if you have time, what we could do just for fun is just do one quick test of my stock Nomad, just to show people
yeah,
what
please
a
do.
bad result would look like.
Oh, yeah, please do.
Let me grab that real quick.
Oh, Zaxour says, I paid a lot of attention to these noise plots when doing switch mode boards for the Genesis. Thanks, Zaxour. I'm glad to hear that, because I didn't believe that the tool was as precise as it is, but Bernard and Tianfeng and Bob and David and everybody in the Discord were just like, hey, we can push this further. And then you came along and you started using it for repairs. So thank you. Thank you all guys for making this better and believing in it. And we could make it work. That's great. I didn't believe it was as precise as it is. I didn't believe we could test audio interfaces with it. I didn't trust it, but it demonstrated it's trustworthy.
Yeah, I think all of our collective lack of trust is actually one of the reasons why all these projects end up so well, because all of us have been burned in the past and we all know how easy it is for something to go wrong, so we're all picking each other's stuff apart in a good way, you know, just making it better. I think a lot of people don't seem to understand, because, you know, when you have people like Voltar and I going back and forth, it's, if you don't know that we're friends, it's very easy to think that we're just arguing. But in reality, like, that's how we talk to each other behind the scenes when we're testing each other's stuff out. And that not only is it more fun, but it makes us all better, because we're all just really scrutinizing each other and trying to get the best out of everything that we do. So
yeah, because you know it's not mean.
No, never.
That's the whole point, right?
Mhm.
It's not I'm trying to demonstrate that I'm better than you, and it's not I'm trying to push it down. It's let's push this a little bit further
Exactly.
until it breaks. Then we stop.
Right, almost done. And I'm using the exact same power supply and not a battery from the Nomad. I don't remember if
Good.
we ever had done testing on whether that mattered or not, but I just figured apples to apples comparisons are probably the best at the moment.
Yeah, they are. And yes, it will probably change because each kind of power supply has different noise. There are some in the MD Fourier side. We have something that's called MD Fourier notes. They are paid little attention, but they go into these kind of details when we were investigating. There are small standalone PDFs of tests that we did comparing SD cards, comparing power supplies, comparing any kind of those things that we cared about.
That was one of the
Saxon.
reasons why we realized that triads were good.
Oh yeah, that's right. They do change the noise signature of the console.
Right. I will, while I'm doing the comparison of this, I'll put up the file that Zaxour just sent, so you could we could all see it and kind of compare. Um, which one should I put up? I guess
The main one, the difference main one.
an F. All right. Okay, so that's the main file. Then so Artemio, would you explain what this is for people? So while I mess around with the
Yeah, of course. This, what we're seeing on screen, is the main output from MD Fourier. On the middle, you can see a line that runs from left to right that is precisely at zero. You have a gradient to the right. The gradient at zero means no difference. This graph would be completely empty if there were identical signals, but identical in the analog domain is basically impossible. What you're going to see is the slight differences that are between them. The more centered around the zero, the more they hug that line, the better. As you can tell, we're hugging that line here. To the left is the bass, and to the right, you have all the treble. Okay, so any high pitch noises or sound would be to the right, any bass and low frequency stuff is to the left. And the wider to the top or to the bottom the lines get, the more difference this is. You can see that the squiggly lines, these are averages. Again, this is not the real lines. They are averaged around what the differences are. So we can see clearly what happens. You can see a green line, that's the FM. You can see an aqua line, that's the PSG noise, and a yellow line, that's the PSG itself. And they go around hugging that zero. That's good. Getting something so close to original Model 1 is really, really hard because this is not a Model 1. They are different FM chips. And on top of that, they have different audio mixing, and also they have different low pass filters. The low pass filters were made so that all the ultrasonic harmonics that are created when you mix frequencies with FM, you filter them out so it doesn't become grinding on your ears. That's why Genesis emulation was so bad at the start in the 2000s, because they didn't filter out those frequencies. And here you can see that the frequencies and the matching of the curves or of the filters being used do match very, very closely an original Genesis 1, Model 1. Okay, he's comparing it against a Genesis Model 1 from the US that was manufactured in Taiwan, and it's a BA3 version that was recorded with my M192 audio card.
Awesome. All right, I will switch this over. Here is the Neptune versus the Nomad.
Mm.
And as you can see, that's exactly what we expected. Not great. I will drop this in the chat for you to have directly, Artemio, as well.
And what does this tell us? Well, first thing, there's also that difference between the levels, between the FM and the PSG, but here it's more pronounced. You can also tell that we have two different filters and two different audio mixing circuits. One of them uses the FN and has a different curve that has a low pass filter that's more pronounced. And the second one has a less pronounced filter, right? So that's what we're getting here. And you have way more difference than you would with a general console. Obviously, noise is going to be, we have less dots because less stuff got compared because we have more noise. If Bob shows us later, if you care, the noise graphs,
here's the
they
noise
will
graph.
be, there you go. The Nomad is way better. Well, you place Nomad and Neptune, or Neptune and Nomad?
Neptune 1, Nomad 2.
Okay, so the Nomad has way too much noise, except in the monitor part, because it doesn't have a CRT.
Right.
Right? We're not getting that noise here. But on the rest of the domain, you can see that from the CRT to the left, you're getting a bunch of noise. And that's terrible because that noise destroys the audio signature.
Well, this is also kind of funny too, because Oleg is finally, about 2 years late, finishing up the his latest Nomad board. And
Oh,
yeah, so by Nomad, I'm sure everybody knows, but just to say, that's the portable Genesis right here. That's this one. So that the first revision from a couple of years ago that he did was actually very good, but he's really aiming to just push that to the next level. So we'll see. Also, my camera battery is about to die. Let me just flip this. We're gonna get a black screen for a moment here, everybody, and then I'm gonna get right back with that new battery. That's why I always buy more than one battery.
I also checked my battery. It's not dying yet. We still have a dozens of minutes, fortunately, it seems. I hope that it doesn't die suddenly.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know if it even does something, but it's the kind of the ritual that I go through. There you go.
There you go. That was it. That was
Yeah.
when I used to work my first IT job. The older guy that worked there, I'd go into his office and I'd, hey David, is it plugged in? David, it's a software password issue. Well, is the server plugged in? Is it? Yeah, yeah. And like it was a joke, but I can't tell you how many times that was the answer to the problem. Was something just needed to be
go read the book.
reseated. So all right. So are we all set? Is there any other audio recordings that we would want to get from these, or is that basically it?
I think we're done there. Well, I mean, I think we have the most important and relevant graphs. We can go in detail, but we have the general stuff.
Excellent. So that was the goal for this. So then I could try to jump into just a little bit more video testing, and I'll have it plugged into the RetroTink so people could see in real time with me as well. Artemio, I realize you have to get back to work, so just once again, thank you so much for doing this and for all of the work that you do, and just none of this stuff would be possible without the 240p test suite, MD Fourier, and all of that. So thank you. And if anybody wants to help, the Itch.io link, but Patreon, I think, is probably the best way to continuously support you, right?
Oh yeah, it is. It helps me a lot. I truly thank you from my heart. But also, it's thanks to you guys that these things get used and get better, improved, tested. So please go on using the tools. And as long as AI doesn't destroy the ecosystem, working on open source stuff.
Well,
If possible.
at the moment, AI has absolutely no ability to pick up a Sega Nomad, plug in a cable, and test it. So we'll
No,
still
no,
have our
yeah.
jobs for a little while longer, but once the robots take over, we're screwed.
In reality, the thing is that it's not really that I'm afraid that they will take over, but that they make messy and very bad job. And people are selling us that we just need to learn how to prompt, but we what need to do is learn how to question that prompt, that result. Okay, and
Yeah.
well, these things just steal out open source code and give it back to you, and images and that kind of thing. That's what I was going for. So yeah, sorry about that.
No,
But
I also agree with you there. I think there's a lot of positivity, but I also think there's a lot that can go very wrong with all of this. So
yeah, and it goes against what artists and creators do mainly, because it's feeding from that.
I still to this day haven't used Chat GPT, and I just don't really want to.
Oh, and you're good with that. I use it daily because of comparing it, but I mostly just make fun of it. But well, it's because I understand what's going on and what goes out, right? And that's the reason I try to give people confidence that there are a lot of limits to what it can do, right?
All right. Well,
Okay.
you are
Well,
welcome to
thanks.
hang out if you'd like to, but if drop off at any
No,
time
I'm
and
leaving. I do have to go, but thank
okay.
you very much
Thank you.
and take care, guys. Thank you for everything.
Take care. See you soon, Artemio. All right.
Bye. See you soon.
All right. Well, now you guys are just stuck with me. Sorry about that. But let's just do some quick video tests and we should be out of here. Hey, Ron, how's it going? All right. Grab this. So you might be wondering why I'm using the OSSC right now when I have a RetroTink 4K Pro next to me. And it's because the Tink 4K Pro is too good sometimes. What I mean by that is its automatic phase setting and its automatic gain compensation sometimes does such a good job restoring signals that it doesn't produce the raw results that you would need. This is normally where I would jump into using a data path vision and direct capture and oversampling, but also, and please anybody correct me if I'm wrong here, I have yet to find a scenario in which the OSSC didn't perform as well. But I'm all ears. And the only thing I will say though is, I mean, I put a pretty ridiculous amount of time into testing this over the years. I mean, the people in the R3 Discord and R3 Wiki have seen how nuts I am, I guess is the best way to put it. And that, so if I'm missing something, please let me know. But that is definitely from quite a few years of messing with this stuff. All right, so back out, output options. Oh, well, I guess this monitor is compatible with, this is the, here, let me slide this over. This is that OLED monitor that Destiny is letting me borrow that I posted pictures on social media of. Absolutely beautiful monitor, and I can't believe I'm just using it for basic testing, but it's right here, and I'm dying to see how it's going to look with the phase setting on it, because that's something that sometimes can't be done correctly. When I say can't be done correctly, I mean your flat panel has to be running at the native resolution of the signal that you're outputting, otherwise you can't properly dial in phase, but this looks fine. We just have to find a phase setting that works. Welcome to the absolute least pretty part of this stream. So I worked on a video about the RetroRGB cables that Mike's coming out with, and this was 2 days of my life, just staring at these screens, dialing in phase, making sure everything's perfect, zooming in to do these comparisons. It was crazy. Hey, Ronnie, how you doing? All right, so there is a very good chance that I'm not going to be able to set phase on this monitor, in which case we could take screenshots elsewhere. Huh. You know, just for the heck of it, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to do this, but I don't think I'm going to get in. I don't think Mike's going to be super bad at me for this. I'm going to use the RetroTink adapter because depending on the cable that you're using, you could actually get better phase results with a better quality cable. So let me try that and see what we got for this. And if I'm still having phase issues, I don't want to waste everybody's time. It's maddening and annoying. I'll just go back to using the Tink 4K, and then I'll just use the screenshots based off of that. So what we're looking for, you might not be able to see it at all, but we're looking for no noise or interference on screen. And I know for a fact that I was able to achieve that with the Neptune. So if we can't do it on this, I'll switch over to the Neptune just to see, but I'm pretty sure it's just the combination of this monitor and everything. At least I hope that's it, because we set phase on this using the Tink 4K. All right, let me switch over to Neptune real quick. And if that doesn't work, I'll just use the Tink. We'll get some quick screenshots and captures, and we'll call it a day. Whoa, perfect. Zaxour, are you still here? Well, that's interesting. Let's see. Because I just plugged it in and phase is perfect. So I wonder if something about the mod on here. All right, so Zaxour is still here. So I could try getting phase set again on this one, but I wasn't able to dial one in. Have you been able to manually set phase with an OSSC on this? And while I wait for your response, I want to show people something that I think is a pretty big misconception. So we're right now, this is the, we're using the Neptune. That's something that's very obviously a Master System game. Did you all see that SMS game just power right up? So for some reason, people seem to think that it's not compatible with the Master System. I think what people are confusing is the fact that if you have an actual 32X, that's not going to be compatible with Master System games. But Cosam designed the Neptune so that it would work with Master System games through a converter. So, like, Castle of Illusion. Here we go. Oh, Ron, I gain and drop followers all the time. And not only does that just happen on Twitter, like it happens with friends that are loudmouths with me. So I could say something like, "Oh, Joan, follow me, ass," and it's like it's always the same. They have no idea what I'm talking about, and it's happened both ways. So yeah. So this is a Master System game playing on this. I'm not really sure why there was such a disconnect in that. I think people just assumed that Kosam didn't do it, but he did. And of course, obviously, let's just go right into Sega 32X. Virtua Racing Deluxe. So, yeah, obviously, I'm not faking this. Not that I don't know who would ever fake a Master System game working on it, but just it's proof. Obviously, I'm going right into Virtua Racing 32X. So, all right, I'm going to switch back over to the Genesis 3. I'll give it one more try, and then I'll just switch over to the Retro Tink, and we'll just get some captures and then call it. Oh, and since we're testing all this stuff out too, stock Genesis 3s cannot use or can't play Master System games, but if you do the mod, it can. So we'll load that up just so you can see it. It's very obviously the Master System version of Afterburner. And you know what? Let me just do Virtua Racing as well, just to show that that could be restored. Here you go. Let me grab the original cartridge just in case there's a discrepancy there. All right, am I back with the audio? I don't know what happened. I just unplugged and plugged my headset back in. All right, so I don't know where we left off, but basically where we're at is I'm not being able to get perfect phase out of this Genesis 3, and it doesn't necessarily mean anything bad. It's just that it's really the true definition of nitpicking. You want to get as flawless of an output as possible dialed in before you get these screenshots. But since that's not really happening, I think what I'm going to do is just switch over to the Tink 4K, let it do its auto phase, and we'll go from there. Yeah, I think that's probably best. So I'm going to power this off. Okay. Set these back. I'm quiet now? All right. Darn it. All right. What about now? Hopefully that's better. Sorry, everybody. Let's get this connected. I'll start by plugging it into the Tink, into this monitor, and then I will move it over to a capture so that you can see full screen, not just through my camera here. Give me 1 second to get this stuff out of the way so I'm not tripping over it. Later, Zaxour. Thanks very much for coming by. All right. Oh, forgot to set the input. I'm sure you've all seen this a million times already, but I just want to show it one more time because it's fun. Virtua Racing has black bars on the top and bottom. Both of them do, because to render those images, they couldn't use the full screen. So, scaling, cropping, vertical crop. Now we have full screen Virtua Racing, which is actually sort of kind of widescreen, technically speaking. Oh, the image is weirdly shaky, though. I don't know if that's the Tink. Let me put that back. From file. There we go. Yeah, I had the wrong profile loaded, but there you go. That was a full screen, widescreen Virtua Racing. So obviously, being me, I'd always prefer to use a CRT just because. I mean, that's what these games were designed to be used on. But there's no CRT in the world that could do that. You just press a button and now everything's centered perfectly. You have full screen. I mean, there's just... I totally get why most people would rather use a Tink 4K Pro. It's just so easy. But yeah, alright, so we've proved it is still compatible with that. And let's get some quick captures. Just comparing, like, maybe we'll do Sonic, just because why not, right? Do quick captures, and then that's it. And then one of each. Oh, Ronnie, the Model 1 that says high definition graphics on it, for nostalgia reasons, because I think it looks amazing, and also I do like the for most games the original FM sound chip, or the YM sound chip. So Yeah, definitely that one. But if I had to pick a second, it would absolutely, without a doubt, be this. Um, you know, if you don't mind, I'm gonna move this here. Well, hold on. Let's see. Let's see. Let me go unplug it. It's gonna go black for a second. I'm gonna keep talking so people don't think I killed the stream again, because that's definitely happened. All right. And we should have brought that over now. Yes. Okay. So if you look in the lower right, that's right now a glitch that's being looked into about this on the Neptune as to why it's not getting the region correct. So it's not. The only issue I've run into it was when sometimes you boot a game, you have to it'll like go to a black screen or give you a region warning, and then you just have to redo it. So. Okay, so you see like the kind of the fuzziness here. I don't know if this is going to kill the stream doing it this way, but I think I'm going to switch inputs for a moment here. I think this older cable I'm using is starting to really mess with the signals. So I'm going to switch to a different one again. I think anybody... I think I'm one of the best people to test cable durability, just because the average retro gamer, the most abusive, right, will unplug and plug in their cables if they don't have a switch. So they plug one at a time into their scaler or RGB monitor, but not multiple times a day throughout multiple devices. I think it's one of those things where I'm just unintentionally abusive because of how much work I put into all these things. So, yeah, if a cable survives me, it'll survive anybody. Power off. On. Okay. Let's try this again. Ron, those things look awesome, but I think I'd get bored with it immediately because I have such a limited time to do anything that I just want to make sure that whenever I'm free, I get to choose the exact show that I want to watch. All right. So I don't know if that's coming out well on this, but phase is now perfect. Oh, thanks, Ronnie. Do I prefer Celsius or Fahrenheit? I got really good at figuring out both when I was traveling, but then when I stopped traveling and I was just in the U.S., if you say Celsius, people look at you like, oh, so you snotty ass, you think you're better than me because you get Celsius? So, yeah, no. Okay, so I got one screenshot. I'm going to have the gain double checked as well. Perfect. I'm going to snap a screenshot of this, and I'll do the same one with Zaxour's Genesis 3, and then we're basically done. All right, is that the right size? No, it did not save the correct size. 1 second. There we go. Okay. So what you're seeing here is just about as good as you could reasonably imagine from an analog video console. This is a 4K screenshot dropped into a 1080p window. Later, Kyle. Thanks for swinging by. Yeah, that's excellent. That is really good. So I'm going to just switch over to the Genesis 3 now. And then we're out. All right, we're going to set the phase here. And it's so I'm looking at it in full screen now, which you're obviously not going to be able to see on stream, but it's fine. It's not as good, but it's fine. So let's all right, let me switch over, go to Sonic. Now, if you may have noticed, what I ended up doing was hitting the button on the Mega EverDrive Pro in order to boot back to the menu so that I didn't change anything. So that way nothing could have happened. I didn't mess with software. It didn't resync to anything. Okay, paused. Oh, we'll do the gain calibration on this one as well. Snap a screenshot. So that's still excellent. This is what I was trying to say before about the whole nitpicking thing. I'm going to put... I'll see if I can put the images side by side. I'll see if that'll work. But overall, I think this is as good as one could ask for. So the Neptune is on the bottom, and I do see a little bit more clarity, but not a lot, and that could very well be phase. I'll move these around some more as well. Click on the other one. And let's see what happens when I go down here. So now it's shifted, by the way, and the Neptune is on top. So they're both absolutely excellent. I don't have any complaints on either. It looks great, and it just also proves that the Neptune is top tier. So that's basically it. I'm going to take off now, but if anybody has any questions, I think I'm just going to... I'll put my camera back on and just hang out as I clean up for a sec, but... We'll go. All right. All right. Hey, what's up, Shank? I am just closing this up. So any questions that anybody has, anything that related to this, or basically anything, I'm just gonna hang out for like 2 or 3 more minutes, clean this stuff up, and head out for the rest of the day. I'll try not to kick my mic and kill the sound before this is over again too. I remember when this thing came out, I was so fired up for this that I used to carry like Q-tips with me, and I would ask for rubbing alcohol if I brought this over somebody's house, so I would clean it before and after, because this was a $80 game back when it came out. I was that annoying nerd. I actually did that, and my friends all got it. And sometimes the adults were like, the fat one's so weird, but whatever. Just give him what he wants, so we'll stop talking. Yep, that was me. I'll figure out how to glue that back in properly at a different time. Cleanup's pretty straightforward in this one. I'm basically done, so I'll just check chat one last time and see what we got. Oh, Ariel, that's cool. Is it the tools for an injection molded version? Because I'll tell you, that's what we really need for this. Is you know, I think, I guess I'll just end on this then before I stop the stream completely. End on two things. First, the Genesis 3 was very obviously inspired by this. It's got the same like swoops on the side, and you know, whoever designed this case obviously had seen this before. But this is an original Genesis 3 case. Let me get it even a little closer too, just to show you all. And I'll cut the stream basically right after this. Zoom it in. All right. So you have injection molded Genesis 3 with molded buttons. This is all 3D printed and painted. The buttons look just as shiny. This one's wiggling because it's not glued in, because I think it might need shaving or something. But this, I mean, this is incredible. This looks just like, I mean, you'd have to be very close to figure out that it's not an original. I think this is so cool. And I think, but an injection molded version would be better because it would be cheaper overall. Oh, and that's held in by screws. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is absolutely awesome. Once again, this is just because the fit is like 99.9% perfect, and I haven't glued them in yet. Yeah, this is awesome. Very cool of my friend to let me borrow this to run these tests on it. But as you saw, that's an excellent motherboard, and this thing's worth it. I mean, you know, you could just get a Mister, but if you're into this stuff, it's worth it. All right, well, thank you all for joining. This was really cool. Always so much fun having you all hang out while we do this, but I'm going to take off and get some more work done, and I'll do a summary of the stream soon. So thank you all, and we'll see you soon.